Hey guys, welcome back to Katie's Book Nook. My name is Katie, and I just wanted to go over some of the books that I've been reading, really since my summer break started. So I've been on vacation for about 2.5 weeks at this point, and I've read 6 books, which is awesome, really, because April, May, and June were horrible reading months for the most part. In June, I read about 3 or 4 books, I think. April, I read, I think, 3, and in May, I only read 1 book, which was like not typical for me at all. So the fact that I've been reading a lot of these books, or a lot of books since break started, is awesome. I've also been doing like I started my grad school class. My other class ended last week. This one started this week, and I have been doing like a crazy house cleaning project just to kind of get rid of stuff. So my husband and I are starting to look for a house. We're currently living in an apartment, which it's fine, and I love my apartment, but it's time. We're living in a 1-bedroom apartment, and yeah, it's just time. So I've been really busy, and I still have managed to read quite a few books. So I'm pretty pumped about that. So the first book that I read since school got out, and I mentioned this earlier in June, but the first one is Morning Glory by Laverne Spencer. Not sure if I'm saying that name right. This comes up pretty often as far as historical fiction, somewhat romantic women's fiction. This is a pretty recommended title. This is actually a movie that was made in the early 90s, and Christopher Reeve was in it. I have not seen it. I'm trying to locate it. It's not on Netflix. It's not on Amazon Prime. You have to buy it. So I'm like, I don't know. It's like $2.99, I think, to buy it. So maybe I'll buy it and have a movie night. But this is about Ellie, who lives on the edge of town, and her husband has passed away. She has 2 small boys and another baby on the way. It takes place during the Great Depression, right before World War II, and Will Parker happens upon their homestead. And he is a drifter just out of prison, and he's trying to get by, and a lot of people are really suspicious of him. So they enter into a strange agreement, and it's just a really adorable, happy love story. So I do recommend this one if you like historical fiction. It's just a really sweet book. So if you like sweet books, this is one for you. Okay. I have also been reading books that I like to call palate cleansers. Now, palate cleansers for me are Regency romances that are usually not always 100% historically accurate, but just really, really fun. They're pretty long. So they're usually almost 400 pages, and I just tear through them. So I read the first, I guess it's the Rokesby series, and it's the prequel to the Bridgerton series. And I read the first one, the first 2, excuse me. So I read Because of Miss Bridgerton, and I just finished that the other day, and The Girl with the Make-Believe Husband, and these are both by Julia Quinn. They are the prequel to her very popular Bridgerton series, which I have not yet read, and they're just really fun. I actually read them out of order. I had bought this one, I think at the grocery store. I was literally just walking around, and I wanted something silly to read, and I mean, look at this cover. It's perfect. This is an amazing cover. So I read this one first. You don't have to read them in order necessarily. At least I don't think you had to. Yeah, I mean, they're really quick. They're not short. This one is 374 pages, and the other one is 375 pages. So, they're not short by any means, but they were just really, really quick. I think I read these in a day and a half, 2 days a piece. So this is pretty quick as far as the reading went. This is not the first book in the series. This is the second book, but I read the first book in the series, and it was Just One Damn Thing After Another by Jodi Taylor. Yeah, that was the first book in the Chronicles of St. Mary series, and that is science fiction where there are these historians that work in London, and they are sent on missions to basically catalog history. There's an arc of this villain that I don't really want to get into because it kind of spoils it, but they basically have to secure what happened in the past so it doesn't mess up the future. It's really, really cool. I don't usually love sci-fi. I love fantasy books, but I don't always love science fiction, which is weird because I love Doctor Who. I love Firefly, but sometimes science fiction stuff I get kind of grossed out by. Not this series. It's really, really good. So I highly recommend The Chronicles of St. Mary's if you are interested in science fiction. The one thing that I had a complaint about, and I don't know if it's necessarily a complaint, that might not be the right word, is the fact that it was hard to tell how much time had passed throughout the book. So, like, I thought in the very beginning of the book, the main character was doing training, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, and, she spent 5 years here. And I was like, oh, all right, I guess I didn't pick up on something. So just pay attention to the time span there, because that was a little crazy. I also read, and I have to pull up the cover on my phone because my sister is borrowing the book, but I read Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi, and I'm sorry if I pronounced that name wrong. I read this with my book club, my real life book club, and it was amazing. It was just so heartbreaking, and it was the story of two half-sisters that basically had no knowledge of each other, and the different paths that their lives and their descendants' lives took, and it was just, I was blown away by the writing, and Yaa Gyasi was, I think, only 26 when she wrote the book. I'm like, oh my god, I just turned 30, what have I done like this? But it's just, if you haven't read it, it is so worth reading. Parts of it were just gut-wrenching and sad, and, truly a testament of what the experience was for people sold into slavery. It was just, it's a must-read. It was just so good. So yeah, I do recommend that one as well. And finally, I read The Blue Castle by Ella Montgomery. This was another book that I thought was going to take me a while, just because, sometimes books can be dry if they're older. But I should have known better, because this is by Ella Montgomery, who wrote the Anne of Green Gables series, which I absolutely love. And this one I finished in a day. And this one is also 247 pages. So again, not super long, but not really short either. But this is about an old maid, Valancy Sterling, and she lives with a terrible family. Her family is absolutely awful, and she is diagnosed with this, like, fatal disease. So she kind of breaks out and goes and, like, takes control of her life. And the ending was a little corny for me. Everything was a little bit tied up too conveniently, but it was just, like, really funny and really enjoyable. And I just loved her as a character. So definitely recommend this as well. So I am reading a couple books right now. So the first one is The Awakening of Miss Prim. This is by Natalia San Martin Fenollera, if I have my Spanish pronunciation right. This is about a woman who is an academic but takes a position basically being a librarian in an old house. This one is a little bit slow going for me. I've read mixed reviews. Some people really love it. Some people are not sold on it. I am about a third of the way through. It's translated from Spanish, so I don't know if things are lost in translation, because some of the writing seems a little bit clunky. I'm not as invested in the story as I would like to be, but I'm probably going to finish it this weekend. I also am reading, oh gosh, here we go. This is Unmentionable by Teresa O'Neill, and it's about, like, the Victorian Lady's Guide to Sex, Marriage, and Manners. So I really love the Victorian era. I love historical fiction. I love historical just stuff in general. And this is very funny. And it's just, like, information about hygiene and what went on behind closed doors in Victorian society. So this one I'm, like, halfway through. It's just really, really funny. It's one of those books that's, like, an informational text, so you can just pick it up as you go. So yeah, I'm really liking this one so far. Okay, and now there are 3 books that I'm planning on reading in the next week or so. So I listened to a podcast. It's called Fountains of Carrots, if anyone is another listener of that, and they are reading the Father Brown stories. So this is the complete Father Brown, which I picked up at the Strand Bookstore in New York City in April, and they are going to be reading the first 2 collections, which is The Innocence of Father Brown, which has 12 stories, and The Wisdom of Father Brown, which has 12 stories. So there's 24 stories that I'm planning on reading kind of along with them. This has all of the Father Brown stories, but, like, they have the Essential collection, so this is going to go along with that, which the first two collections there. So I've never read any Father Brown. I recently have been really getting into mysteries. Mystery loving is, like, so in my family. My mom raised us on Murder, She Wrote, which is a fantastic show starring Angela Lansbury, if you have not seen it. So lately I've just been really, really into mystery series, so I am really pumped to pick that up. There's also a TV show on Netflix. It's shown in England, and Arthur Weasley is Father Brown in the show, so I'm very excited to watch that. And then this I got for my birthday. This is Maud by Melanie J. Fishbane, and it is inspired by the life of Ella Montgomery. And since I just read The Blue Castle, I am really excited to pick up Maud as well. Okay, and I mentioned this in my book haul, which I'm not sure which one I am going to upload first. So I got this book the other day, and this is Jane Austen at Home, a biography by Lucy Worsley. So yeah, there's a lot going on lately. So these are the books that I've read recently and am planning on picking up very soon. Do you have any other recommendations for me? Please let me know. If you've read any of these books, as always, please let me know in the comments what you thought of them. No spoilers, please. And yeah, I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.